Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Washington Dialogue. The war in Afghanistan is not just about Afghanistan itself, it's also affecting the other countries, the other nations in the region. And of course, one of those regions is Central Asia itself. And in those the countries around Afghanistan, Uzbekistan is also a big factor, a big country, and a big, what you call the element in all this scheme. To discuss all this situation here with us, we have Navbahor Imamova, and she's a very prominent Uzbek journalist here at Voice of America. Navbahor, let's just start with how do you see the effects of war in the region, in Central Asia itself?
Well, I mean, for one thing, that the war has been going on in Afghanistan forever. So Central Asians have been living with it for a very long time. And don't forget that Central Asia was a part of the Soviet Union. And so a lot of Central Asians served in the Soviet war in Afghanistan. So this is nothing new for the region. And of course, you know, there is always an increased concern about what's going to happen in the neighboring country and how it's going to threaten our peace. As far as every Central Asian country is concerned. Uzbekistan is the largest country in the region, and you also have millions of Uzbeks living in Afghanistan, so it's very much a part of that region.
Exactly. I mean, you know, going a little deeper into the situation, I wanted to ask you how really it's factoring in terms of daily life in Uzbekistan. You said, you know, the region has been involved with this war for a long time. First it was the Soviet invasion, and then of course now the war on terror. So how do you see the life, the common man? How they're coping with the whole situation?
Well, if you asked an ordinary Uzbekistani, let's say in the streets of Tashkent about the war, they would probably tell you that, well, we would want it to end very soon because it's very concerning for us and we don't want to have this ongoing conflict next door. But also people have gotten used to it. I mean, there are so many other problems in the country that I would doubt that an Uzbekistani would put the Afghan war as the main problem of the day. But of course they know what's going on, and you know, they watch it on TV. Most of the international news comes in through the Russian channels. But the Uzbek government has been trying to play a major role in the resolution of this conflict. So the Uzbek government has its own plan about how to put an end, how to achieve peace.
Let me ask you one thing, Navbahor. See, on the east of Afghanistan, you see Pakistan. Pakistan is a big mess right now in terms of, like, you see these suicide blasts all the time, drone attacks, and the whole country is basically upside down because of this war in Afghanistan. But we haven't seen this kind of impact on the other side, you know, like Central Asia and other countries of the region. What's the difference? Why is it so?
Well, this is a very interesting issue. I talk about this with a lot of experts and policymakers here in Washington too. Central Asia pretty much looks up, not down. I mean, because of our history, because of the fact that we were a part, because we were a part of this huge empire, which was the Soviet Union. We're Russian-speaking countries, so we look up to Europe and to Russia more rather than to the South. And if you remember how the U.S. policy shifted a few years ago during the Bush administration, Central Asia used to be regarded as a part of Eurasia, and then they put Central Asia along with South Asia. The former Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice, had this concept of U.S. playing a key role in bringing Central and South Asia together, in connecting them.
Exactly.
And
they had
still
just
remains,
only one region,
right,
one secretariat here. Going from there, but why we have so many Uzbek nationals in Afghanistan as well as in Pakistan? I mean, you know, every now and then you hear this news, either some of them, they get killed in a drone attack or they get arrested in Pakistan and Afghanistan, but you see a lot of downward movement as well.
Well, there is a downward movement, but it's not a very popular downward movement.
What is the genesis of this movement? Why did these fellows, they come to Afghanistan and Pakistan? Why? I mean, being a part of Soviet Union, of course, Soviet Union was an atheist empire. There wasn't no religion officially, quote unquote. So, but what really happened? Why these people, these fighters, became so religiously, so zealous, and they.
Central Asia is a part of the Muslim world. So you had Muslim populations living there for a long time. Even during the Soviet Union, we considered ourselves Muslims. But what happened after the breakup of the Soviet Union, you had 5 emerging Muslim societies. And they were groups of people in those countries, specifically in Uzbekistan, who preferred a different kind of a government system. So in early 90s, there was a movement that came together, which now pretty much is based in Pakistan. It's called the Uzbek Islamic Movement of Uzbekistan.
It's based in Pakistan?
Right now, their base is pretty much in Waziristan, based on the information, based on my reporting, and based on my conversations with the experts and journalists in the region. I can tell you that, yes, the Uzbek militants are pretty much based in Pakistan, but they still operate in Afghanistan.
After the Americans left, if they leave Afghanistan, what's going to happen with these fighters? Would they go back to Uzbekistan, and do you see a huge, again, an impact on the socio-economic life and basically the whole region?
The fight against extremism and terrorism continues in Uzbekistan too. So Uzbekistan is not a safe haven for them to go back to. It would be very difficult. But we have seen the signs of some of the militants going back because they try to actively recruit from within the Central Asian youth. We have heard of militant activities in Tajikistan, where an Islamic party is a part of the parliament. And you have Kyrgyzstan, where they have been having problems with this issue, with this problem. And Uzbekistan remains to be the heart of Central Asia, and it's the largest society. And the leaders of this Islamic, the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan are actually from the Fergana Valley, from Uzbekistan. What's happening is that they have been at war with the Uzbek government for a very long time. So as far as the Islam Karimov's regime, these guys still pose a very serious threat.
Navbahor, I wish we could continue and talk more about this interesting and very important subject, of course, but sorry, we're out of time here. And you heard Navbahor, what she thinks about this whole scenario that's going to unfold after the Americans try and start leaving Afghanistan in the region. And still, I mean, there are announcements and there are plans to have some kind of a permanent presence in terms of some bases, some military bases in Afghanistan. So let's see what happens. Thank you very much for watching Washington Dialogue.